Hey, what's going on, guys? Justin Williams and got my amazing son Caleb here. Say hey.
Hey guys.
We really appreciate you guys checking out a video, and today we're going to actually be emphasizing and breaking down basic bow building, so stick with us. Alright, so a couple different aspects that we want to look at is everything from the Bowyer's Bibles to kits and different woods. So what are some of the things that we find in the Bowyer's Bible book?
We got everything from traditional, non-traditional. We have stuff from Osage bows to just how to make bows and all that good stuff. So,
yeah. And there's 4 different volumes to this setup, and so definitely encourage you guys, if you're interested in diving deeper into bow building, you want to get the Bowyer's Bible series. Definitely tons and tons of amazing principles and aspects to it. The next thing I want to talk about, and this is something I really want to push towards my son as we continue to move on, and life is short, each day is a miracle, and so I'm believing in him for greatness, and then maybe one day he's going to dive deeper. So I want to talk to him about going and what to carry in your actual bow drill kit. So I'm going to pull some of this stuff out here. And each of these items are amazing aspects to use when bow building. And so I'm going to get them all out here. And then we're going to put some to use as well. So, all right, very good. So one of my absolute favorites, and you can get these with breakdown handles, and some do not, but this is what we're going to be using for our draw knife, for being able to actually, and you can unscrew it. Here, let you go ahead and unscrew that.
Okay.
Unscrew the ends. And then pull them out. And as he opens that up, you also got different other scraping techniques. Everything from grinders. You can actually grind it. We're going to do that here in a second. I'm going to show you a bigger one for that as well. You got different aspects for carving in notches. You got different measuring scales to be able to test the overall strength, and just several different other aspects. And don't forget, when bow building, you definitely, unless you're doing primitive bow building, want to use a tape measure. So once you get that in a position, you loosen it and then you tighten it.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and tighten that one. Once again, something as simple as this, and different. This here are the cabinet scrapers. Definitely highly encourage cabinet scrapers as well. And then you got your draw knife. And so those are several of the pre-aspects and things I want you to keep in mind if you're going to get into bow building. You can start super simple, but highly encourage you guys invest some time and energy. You got these as well that you can adjust and put some more pressure on, several different aspects. Alright, so we see our draw knives, we see our rasp, and different aspects to keep in mind whenever you're getting into bow building. So let's go ahead now and we're going to break down the different stages and the types of wood that we use. And so everything from hickory to Osage orange. Think of another tree. What's another tree we've done?
Dogwood.
Dogwood? I ain't never made one out of dogwood, but sure as heck could try. Think of another tree?
Cedar.
Cedar? I do. One of my first bows that I ever made out of Scout Week. This is one of my first ones out of Scout Week, was a cedar bow stave. Pretty sweet, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, an amazing opportunity. And I'll show you some more after we break down the different process. There's also what we call a bundle bow. This is made up here. You can make them out of all kinds of different other contents, from bamboo bundle bow. You say bamboo bundle bow? Bamboo bundle bow. And they're just bundle bows. This is one I made too when I was out east on the East Coast. And then there's several others. But what I want to do now is take you through the process of a straight up tree and breaking it down to the basics of bow building. So stick with us. Alright, so once again, we got my first Scout Week bow that I built, a bamboo bundle bow, and some of the others that I've built over the last year or so, a couple years. But what I want to talk to you first about is how to process and how to get started. this right here is my go-to Osage orange, beautiful wood, and there's different aspects to it, but make sure you find the straightest one you can. And in most cases, how bent are Osage bows normally?
Very.
Yeah, the wood, how it's bent crazy. All kinds of stuff. So the Osage orange, when you can find a straight one, how beautiful is it? Very, very beautiful. And so once you got it, you want to make sure that you put glue over the ends. And we just put some random glues. And then what do we do from here? You remember?
No.
No. We let it sit for how many years you think?
2.
2. See, he knows more than he thinks he does. With Osage orange, you want them to sit for 2 years. And then there's other bows and other woods, like hickory, that can sit for a year. And so which one do you think is prettier, the hickory or the Osage?
Osage.
Osage is much more beautiful. But once again, once you get it, you want to make sure you process it out. This one here is solid. And then once you got it 2 years, then you're going to split it into sections. This one here, once again, was cut. You can actually use just an axis knife, a big knife, machete type, but super thick, and split it out that way. Or use a saw. In most conditions, in most cases, I'd use a saw to be able to get a nice, clean processing on your bow building supplies and wood. It's going to be great. And so with this one here, once again, we go from, what would you call that?
Osage.
Osage orange. And start off with a solid one. Go ahead and put it back in this corner. Then after 2 years, you'd want to split it out into, you can split it into 3 to 4 different sections. And then you got hickory, which is this one here, and it only needs about a year. And so that's the benefit of the hickory. But the Osage orange, you can't beat it. So let's put that one back over there. From here, you continue to process it down. You get it broken down, and you're going to be using, once again, I use a permanent marker to begin to use and design and put some characteristics on the bow stave. And then you just, once again, you're going to saw it out, or you can baton it out with a good solid knife, and then you're going to begin to process it with various different tools. And so for training purposes and for this video, I want to have my son Caleb here. He's going to do a couple different techniques on it, and so stick with us. All right, so one of the big key aspects to bow building is you want to make sure that you do not damage, what do you call it?
The outer fronter.
The outer front layer, exactly.
Outer front layer.
And you want to make sure that you can remove the outer bark and in different layers, aspects of it, but you do not want to gouge it or gauge too deep into the outer bark. So what you're doing is once you skin that and get rid of that crusty bark, then you want to make sure from there on you're only using slight methods for cleaning it up. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to start off with the draw knife. Once again, start off with a solid wood, split it, baton it out into different sections, start to begin to break it down. You can do this also, once again, with a baton knife, a heavy knife, and get it in this basic shape that you're looking for. Draw it out with a permanent marker, and from here you're getting into a good stage to start using your draw knife and your, what do we call this one again?
The rasp.
The rasp. So draw knife and rasp.
So what we want to do from here, once we get to this stage, is we want to take our draw knife and we want to start by carving off the edges. That way we can round it off, and as we continue to get going, we end up rounding off the edges. And just continue going until your bow gets somewhat thinner and more rounded edges like this. That way your bow can turn out more like this.
So Caleb covers some basics for bow building on using the draw knife by making sure once you've processed it out to a basic shape, then using your draw knife to begin to remove some of the edges and shape it out. And then you're going to get to this stage here where we're going to move over to a different rasp. And there's 2 different gauges on most of these rasps, these bigger ones especially. You got fine and then you got coarse. And so your first batch is going to be with the coarse, and as you begin to process it out and get down to more of a closer to a finish, that's whenever you switch over to the actual smooth side, the fine side, because you don't want a bunch of lines and hash marks in the actual bow. All right, so once you process your bows and you start getting it down to an actual nice working shape, this is one I recently about finished with. It's an Osage orange bow, but here's several others that I'll show you here in just a second. But once you've gotten that process, now you got to start thinking about using a file to begin to put in your notching. So come take a closer look. So once you got your bow mostly complete, that's also some time when you need to be able to start applying a nice diamond file to begin to put in your notching so that your bowstring will go into it. So far we have covered everything from starting off with a large Osage orange and how to break it down after 2 years. You split it out so you have your bow. Then we moved on to using your draw knife, to using your rasp, to using your diamond file, and then once you get your bow and arrow where you feel really comfortable with it, that's when you start to throw in a cabinet scraper. You can get by without it, but I highly recommend a cabinet scraper because it is amazing for cleaning up and smoothing it out and making it look beautiful. And so those are the 4 primary aspects. You want to make sure, once again, you're using a tape measure to begin to measure out things. And then whenever you really get to a point in building your bows, you're going to want to make sure you test it out as well based off of the draw on your overall bow. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and I just want to show you the last few bows that I've made over the last couple years. I've made dozens and dozens of them, especially when it comes to teaching this skill set. I've been so blessed to be able to teach bow building, but just want to carry on these little tips and tricks along the way to help get you out there and get you going. But keep in mind, a couple bows that I got here. This is one of my very first bows, and it's got definitely some flaws to it. But it's important that you be able to hang on to stuff like that so you can see areas to grow. This one here is what I call a primitive bow, and this is one that I actually built without a lot of modern tools. I did use some, but it's definitely got different shapes and different aspects because of how I processed it. These other 2 are more modern bows, and these are ones that I've definitely taken over the years and used in mighty ways. They've just become such beautiful, beautiful bows. Once again, the Osage, and then one of my favorites is this one right here. And it is one of my most beautiful bows I've ever made, and I've even added different designs and graphics to it. So, got a leather handle, and I'll give you guys a close-up of this one. And that way you can see the type of things that you can take your bows to the next level. Well, Caleb, I love you, buddy. I'm so grateful. This is my son. He's been a huge impact in my life. I can't thank him enough. And I just want to be able to press on and carry and encourage him. He may never be a bow building expert, but I just want him to continue to love the outdoors and remember to keep it axis off grid. And axis off grid is about revolving your life around something greater than yourself. And so I'm so grateful for each and every one of you guys. Hopefully you picked up some tips and tricks on bow building from our video today. And I guarantee you there's aspects and principles that we didn't cover that you need to learn. But I mainly just wanted to give you some highlights and once again, some ideas to get you started bow building. So let me give you a close-up of this before we wrap up the video. But once again, be sure to share and subscribe and stay tuned.